Hi, welcome to Virtual Dream Expo 2022. My name is Pam Pearson and I'm proudly representing Workforce Solutions East Texas, where I serve as a volunteer on the board and also as Economic Development Committee Chair. This Virtual Dream Expo is being brought to you through a grant by the Texas Workforce Commission. Today is all about you. I'm hopeful that as you go through this expo, that you will see everything in the name is what you need, and that is a dream. We're here today to help your dreams become a reality, and we want to make sure that you know there are partners that will be with you from beginning to end to make sure that you are successful in your future. The state of Texas has determined that as you go into high school, you are going to have 4 endorsements, and out of those 4 endorsements, you need to make sure that one of those is the career that you would like to attempt to pursue. So as you're looking at these endorsements, I want you to think of the partners that we introduced to you and see how that could fit with your dreams, with your goals, with your talents, and with what you enjoy doing. So the first endorsement that I'm going to speak of is STEM, and that's science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Then we have public service. We also have business and industry, and we have arts and humanities. Sit back, relax, and be ready to make your decision that will lead to your future goals and your success. As an introduction to arts and humanities, we have Reagan Lassiter and Caroline Fiesel, who represent our plans.
Our plan started in 2019, but I've been drawing house plans since I got out of college in 2013. So the way I started was I worked with a designer who mainly went and bought furniture for all of her clients. And it was fun. We would just go to Dallas and we'd walk through the market and we would come home with a list of furniture that we wanted to purchase, present it to the client, hopefully they would say yes, and we would come and deliver a house full of furniture for these clients. And that was a fun part of my job, but I really wanted to draw house plans. And so we meet with the clients directly and we do kind of a vetting process with them and walk through, where do you want your laundry? Would you like that to open up to the master closet? Do you have any pets that we need to accommodate? How many kids do you have? Do you cook? All the questions that you don't really think about, you just consider standard in the way that you live. We try to get those questions answered through our clients so that we can create the house plan specifically for them. We rarely work with the builder to design. We mainly like to work with the client because that's the one who's going to be using that home day in and day out.
A typical work day is 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, and on those days, I personally start with Instagram in the mornings. And so I'll post something for the day, kind of interact with other accounts and designers on there, just because of the way Instagram works. When you interact on Instagram, then people kind of organically find you. And then the rest of the day kind of depends on what projects we have going on. And so if there are meetings coming up and due dates coming up, we're wrapping up those projects. We'll either be in the floor plan phase where we're putting the actual plan together and going through all the different ideas and criteria and things that they want in the plan itself, or we're going through 3D and we're designing what the outside actually looks like, how the cabinetry is going to be drawn, where the lighting might go, all the little details that go along with the plan.
Something that East Texas has is called a Parade of Homes. And I went a lot when I was younger, and I would definitely encourage anybody interested in this field to go do that Parade of Homes. And what that is mainly a tour of new homes that are open, they're recently finished. Typically nobody's moved in yet, and you get to get a ticket and walk through any of those homes that you want to walk through. So if you're interested in interior design or thinking maybe I still don't know what that is, but I might be interested in interior design, I would encourage you to definitely do the Parade of Homes. That's the residential side, which just means a home. There's commercial and there's residential. Definitely walk through some of those homes and pay attention to the cabinetry or pay attention to the way one room flows to another. Look up at the lighting. There's all sorts of different things that go into these homes.
Growing up, I always wanted to go into fashion design. My mom was in fashion merchandising. She worked at Neiman Marcus in Dallas for a while. In high school, one of my friends asked if I wanted to go out to Texas Tech and look at their interior design department at the school. And I figured, well, fashion and interior design have to be similar, so I'll go check it out and maybe I can see some fashion design while I'm there. We ended up meeting with the dean of the Department of Design, and he kind of walked us through what interior design was really like, what kind of classes that you take. And I pretty much just fell in love with it right then and there. It seemed like a practical career. It seemed like it incorporated a lot of what I loved about fashion design and the creativity there with a lot of the practical side of I could use this on a daily basis in my own home and the knowledge from all of these things, and I could use it in all of these different avenues. They just made it seem like a really realistic career opportunity for me.
So my requirements for an employee were mainly that they had a degree in interior design. I went to Stephen F. Austin, Axiom Jacks, and got my design degree. Caroline went to Texas Tech.
Wreckham.
And got her design degree. So that for me is a must just to begin working for our plans. But beyond that, I decided to go ahead and get registered. And so that just means that you've gone through a series of tests, you've completed your schooling, and now Texas has a book of registered designers, and I am listed in there.
I know a lot of kids in my class graduated and went to work for a showroom. And so sometimes that means they start out selling things on the showroom floor, and maybe they work their way back to a design consultant within the showroom, and you work with clients and help them pick things. Maybe you become a buyer for that showroom and you'll go out and travel and find and source furniture to sell in the showroom. So that's one that several of my friends are doing now in the Dallas area.
And those are so important because every home that we do, we are designing it all, but we are picking our lighting from someone's selling us that. Mm-hmm. And we are going and picking a sink, and someone is working at that plumbing showroom selling us that. Mm-hmm. And we have to go get tile, and somebody's selling us that. So all of these realms are still in our industry, and they're very important to us. Mm-hmm. If none of you were working at a flooring place, we would be very bare.
Yeah. I think that's another thing I would recommend if you're interested now and you don't have your license, so you're not gonna just go get a job and go to work, in the afternoons, but really paying attention to each space that you go into and kind of understand, why does this feel like it doesn't work? Or why does it feel really good in here? Why does it feel like there's actually adequate space for all 25 of us students to sit in here? Or why does it feel like this space doesn't work? And kind of start to clue in on, oh, it's because they made the hallway, 3 feet wide instead of 4 feet wide. And so it feels like we're going down a tunnel rather than I could pass someone in the hallway and it's comfortable. And then you can learn a whole lot just by kind of paying attention to your surroundings, because every building that you go in has been designed by someone, whether it was a designer or not, it was designed by someone. And so you can learn a lot just by being in a space in general.
So maybe some other things that could qualify you as a designer. Obviously the schooling is super important, but I will say just going through a program and getting your bachelor in interior design doesn't necessarily give you all the tools you need to be a designer. So we use a lot of words in design like modern or contemporary or southern or farm. And when I'm visiting with a client and they are using these words, they've got a picture in their head of what these words mean, and it may not be the same picture in my head of what those words mean. So something we have to do as designers is decipher, what are they saying to me, but what are they meaning? What are they asking for? And one of the tools that we use a lot is pictures. So someone says they love a farmhouse, show us a picture of a farmhouse. And it may be something where that's completely different. The favorite part for me, for my job, is when a project finishes and the client is thrilled. They are excited about the 3D, what the home's gonna look like, or we're doing a renovation and they're watching the paper go up or the furniture come in and they just can't handle themselves because they're so thrilled about how it was pulled together. Those are really my favorite parts about design. But it's really important that when we are done with a project, we don't have to stand there and explain it and convince someone that it's a great design. it's important that when that design comes together, when the client walks into that space, they know it's a great design.
Public service will now be presented by Texas Parks and Wildlife Game Wardens Nathan Skeen and Kirk Clendenning.
So a typical work day for a Texas game warden is there's not really a typical day. At any point in time, you may get a call of something going on, you're doing something totally different. For example, you may be on the lake checking fishermen and doing something, you get a call from a landowner that somebody might be trespassing on their property. If it's in the fall, we're going to be in the woods. You know, we're going to be in those deer camps checking things. You know, fall also is duck season. You're going to be on the lake checking, you know, your waterfowl hunting. Also, in addition to your water safety stuff, because people don't realize, hey, I'm going to go duck hunting, but I also have to have the water safety stuff when I get my boat to go to my blind, you know, out there on the lake, things like that. So yeah, it's going to depend on the season, things like that. I mean, duck hunters, they get up super early in the morning, and you know, they're up there at when the sun rises, you know, 30 minutes before, and they're hunting. So, you know, we need to be out there, you know, at that time. And then you might go after you check duck hunters in the morning. Mid-morning, you may go and check deer hunters, or you check some camps, because that's when your hunters are starting to come out of the woods, you know, things like that, midday. And then that night, you know, you may set out all night and try to catch a night hunter or a poacher, things like that. So it just kind of depends on the season, and it also depends on, you know, what your landowners are seeing. Game wardens are huge advocates of landowner relationships. So, I mean, there might be one or two of us in a whole county. That's hard for us to be in 50 spots at once. So we rely on our relationships with our landowners to be able to notify us and let us know, hey, this is going on my road, or I saw this last night, or things like that, or hey, be on the lookout for this pickup that came through. It's got loud pipes, or it's got a sticker on the back. You know, things like that we key on that helps us be able to do our job better. So what made me interested in becoming a game warden here in Texas is naturally the love for the outdoors. Most game wardens like to hunt and fish themselves.
My favorite part about being a Texas game warden is that I've always had the desire to serve the public. As a game warden, I get to combine that desire with my passion for the outdoors. I've always had the desire to hunt and fish and be outdoors. As a Texas game warden, if I'm not able to engage at those, at least I get to have the opportunity to be and visit with others that are.
So when we get out here, we start looking for our boats and things like that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a water safety check on the boats. Nobody's waterproof, wear your life jacket, things like that. So that's the first thing we look for. How are y'all? Good. State Game Warden's going to do a quick water safety check, okay? All right. Say 2 life jackets, please. We look for your life jackets, your throw cushion, your fire extinguisher, your sound producing device, making sure children under 13 are having a life jacket on. That's some of the things we look for. After that, we start looking at registration and things like that. So every boat's different. You're going to have some boats that are just fishermen, and then when we do our water safety check, then we ask, hey, what did you catch? Let me see your fishing license, things like that. So there's you know, each boat, you know, you have a boat like over here where it's just straight water safety. They're not fishing or anything like that, but you might have a fisherman over here. So at any point in time, we're always looking for that water safety check, making sure everybody's safe on the water. They got helmets on and everything, man. All protected. Y'all having fun? Why'd y'all get thrown off? Why'd y'all get thrown off? Oh, the crazy driver? Oh, okay. Good, man. You doing all right? Hey, State Game Warden gonna do a quick water safety check. I think everybody out there squared away. I just need to see one life jacket for you, please. All right, perfect. about a throw cushion? What? Square throw cushion? Yeah, it's right here. Perfect. And a fire extinguisher. What camp? Are y'all in the camp? Yes, sir. Pine Cove. What year were you born? 1999. You got your butter in, also? Yeah, I don't have my wallet on me. It's back up there. Perfect. Y'all have fun, all right? Yes, sir. Y'all hold on next time. Nobody gets tossed off today, right? I don't know about that. He already jumped.
I held on, but I didn't get through.
So I would say most of our contacts are going to be like that. You know, everybody's 100% compliant, and all things are good. No citations, no warnings, no nothing like that. Everything was perfect with that boat. We're just here to make sure everybody's safe. If we weren't working, we'd probably do the same thing they're doing right now, just out here hanging out, having fun.
To prepare yourself as a career for a Texas game warden, an easily accessible option is to visit with your local game warden and express your desire for this career and ask any questions that you might have. Other options are a ride-along or being selected for one of our internships. These options will give you first-hand experience of what a Texas game warden does. And a positive of the career is being able to educate the public on hunting, fishing, and water safety while they're engaged in those activities. A negative of the job could be that as public safety officers, we respond to incidents such as drownings and hunting-related accidents. It's every Texas game warden's mission to help educate the public to mitigate these incidents.
So to be a Texas game warden, you have to have a 4-year bachelor's degree. It can be from any accredited university, any field of study as long as it is a bachelor's degree. And then once you go through that, you go through a long application process where you do a physical test. You go through an interview with 3 game wardens, and you go through a long and lengthy background investigation. Once you get through all that process, then you go through our 7-8-month academy there in Hamilton, Texas. You know, most of our game wardens, they're going to have a degree in, forestry, criminal justice. I was a biology major. It could be any degree, but if you're looking toward this field, that might be a route you might want to look at and kind of go toward. The state agencies and local agencies, we have our own specific academy. So what we do at our game warden training center versus what DPS does at their center are totally different things. They're training on how to work an accident or something like that. Where we're training on how to work a boat accident, or we're training wildlife ID, how to operate an ATV. Taking ATV courses, because that's where another place where we might work on an ATV out in the woods. So totally different on that kind of thing, so it doesn't reciprocate or anything, but we all, at the end of the day, we're all on the same team. We're all with one goal, is to protect and serve our citizens of our state.
Awesome.
And I would also say, like our academy, you go through all the laws, all that stuff, but you do your firearm training there, you do your swimming there, because water's a big part of our job, so we do a lot of swimming stuff. DPS and other agencies probably don't work a whole lot on swimming and things like that. And then wildlife ID, and then being able to go into a camp check scenario and being able to go through and this is how we're going to do it. This is what we look for, things like that. Different than what a trooper might have, just on the side of a highway. Hey, how we doing? Yes, sir. Just game warden. Gonna do a quick water safety check, please. See, 2 more life jackets on board, please. A throw cushion and a fire extinguisher.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all. Fire extinguishers over there, Jake. Yeah. Throw cushion.
That'll work. I hadn't seen one of those in a while.
It's a 1993.
Yeah.
All right.
Still charged.
And I got a horn, everything. Just bought the boat about 2 months ago, so.
Okay, cool.
I've had a couple, but this is the oldest one.
One of
Man, that never happens to me. Good deal. Y'all gonna go back? That's awesome.
We're just gonna ride this morning, and we're going to the water park, Gilroy Water Park.
Very cool.
He doesn't get up that early, so me and him will bass fish the next couple of mornings.
There you go.
Yeah, I'll get it, baby.
Well, y'all be careful out here, okay?
Yes, sir.
Y'all
Thank
be
you.
safe. All right. I would say, as a game warden, some skills that you need to have is be able to communicate with people, being able to address issues, address questions, be educational, be able to outreach, things like that. Another thing I think would be a big key attribute for a game warden is be self-sufficient, be independent. Because a lot of times, we are working by ourselves. We are going to be, going to deer camps, checking hunters by ourselves, being out here on the water, checking boats by ourselves. So being able to handle yourself in those situations and things like that. So I would say independence, or being independent, being self-sufficient, being confident in what you know and what you do and things like that. I would say the positive would be, this is your office right here. You're not stuck in a room with a window. This isn't. Our office is a boat, our truck, the woods, the water. I would say that would be a big thing. Flexibility of the job, being able to know when and where I'm going to work, things like that. I wake up in the morning, I throw a uniform on, and I get my truck and I'm going to work right then. I don't have to go anywhere or anything like that. I would say that would be my two big pros of the job. Couple, I guess you'd say, negatives would be, you are going to be working holidays. That's when everybody else is out here. July 4th weekend, where's everybody going to be? They're going to be on the lake. So where do we need to be? We need to be on the water. Things like that. That and, weekends. You're going to have to work weekends because, that's where most people are out recreating. So my advice for some of our younger guys and girls that might want to be a game warden would be, first and foremost, stay out of trouble. Your past is always going to follow you, no matter what you're going to do. The thing I always think about is present choices determine future consequences. So what you do today might determine what's going to happen down the road. Also, I would say get involved, get to know your local game wardens, ride along with them, ask questions, pick their brains, jump in the truck, volunteer, big things like that. We have kid fishes and things like that. Get involved. Show that you have a love for the outdoors, show that you have a love for service, show you have a love for the conservation for future generations, because that's what we do.
Business and Industry will now be presented to you by Paul Wilson with Gilmer National Bank.
I'm Paul Wilson. I'm the president here at Gilmer National Bank. I guess I first started looking at banking as a kid. My dad and I would go to the bank, and he was a cattleman, so he would borrow money against cows and things like that, and so I would go with him to get to deal with all kinds of different people. You meet so many different people, and it's just satisfying to know that, if somebody's buying a new home, their first time to buy a home, or their first new car when you get out of college, or just those things that you get to help people do. That, to me, that's the positive side of it. Banking's got so many different avenues. You could be, if you're really into people, like if you like hanging out with people and just talking to people, then being a lender is the way to go. And so really just socializing with people and just showing interest in people and getting to know them. If you're interested in numbers, then studying your math and really learning the financial side of mathematics and learning about economics. I have a degree in finance, which is good for banking. You will learn a lot of the things that you would use in banking for finance. Just getting your education is really the most important part. I would say it doesn't matter which path you go in your education. If you wanted to major in psychology or anything, because psychology will help you understand people a little better. Also, even outside of being a banker itself, there's compliance for the regulatory side, to where we are regulated by the comptroller of currency. So there's a career path that way to where you can go regulate banks. But for me, I started out at a bank doing management training. I worked in teller line. I worked as a bookkeeper. I worked in the IT side of things. I did everything in the bank for about a year and a half. To also, if you're interested in banking, right now, like credit analyst is a big entry position for banks, to where you look at all the loans that come through and you analyze their financials. And also there is teller. A lot of younger people start as tellers and kind of learn how to handle money. A typical work day would be come in and kind of look at the reports from what happened the day before. You'll see like how much money we made, how many new deposits you got in that previous day, what your loan volume was like for that previous day, how much interest rates have fluctuated. That's a big deal in banking right now. Actually, there's when it comes to the interest and things, there's whole careers in that, trying to make investments in things that the interest rates are not going to get you in trouble, because a bank could get in trouble. Like right now, say we loan money on a house at 3-4%. Well, those are long-term loans, and you're locked in. And so all of a sudden, our cost that we pay on a CD or an investment savings account, that may actually get above here. I very well could get above those numbers in the next few months. So there are different types of banks. We have what you call national banks, which are regulated by the OCC. You have state banks, which are regulated by the state government. We, as a community bank, it's a different thing than a big corporate bank. For us, these are people that we go to church with. We see at ball games with our kids. We see them at the grocery store, or we see them at Walmart, or we live lives together. And so, hard times fall on everybody. You're not going to get through this world without it. And so, a lot of times we'll have people, maybe their business is struggling, or maybe a kid gets sick and you're having to go to Children's Hospital on a weekly basis. If somebody's lost their job, we may say, hey, you can't make a payment for 6 months, we can help you with that. To whereas a large institution, they're not gonna do those kind of things for you. I guess the big thing to me as far as banking goes is that everything's evolving so fast. Technology's changing so fast. There's now, you can do I promise you could do every banking need you have, and you could never enter this building. But you can't talk to people and get the personal interaction. And any time that you're in a small community or any community, the more people know you, the more people know about you, the more that you're involved and getting to know people, that's what's going to be important in your life. There's always going to be the need to know people and to love people, and just to get out and get involved in your communities, whatever that may look like. Just love people and help people, and that's really, to me, the most important part of life.
STEM will now be presented to you by Katie Vossler with KLTV Channel 7.
My name is Katie Vossler. I'm a meteorologist with KLTV 7 and KTRE down in Lufkin. We simulcast a lot of our morning and midday newscasts, so I'm on both Tyler and Lufkin stations. I usually do the morning show, but I am the #1 fill-in in the evenings when Mark Skirto isn't available, and I've been a meteorologist for almost 20 years now. I really got into weather when I was a kid. It was something that I always loved, watching the clouds, the storms. I grew up on a farm in East Texas, and so I loved watching the storms roll in. And then I'll date myself a little bit here, but when the movie Twister came out and I realized that this was something someone did where they chased storms and they learned about them, I was completely hooked in high school, and from about my sophomore year of high school on, I knew that's exactly what I wanted to do, was be a meteorologist and chase storms and learn about the weather and know more and more as I got older. I try to warn a lot of people that you have to have a very thick skin in this business, because though I love what I do and I love doing it every day, I am doing it in front of millions of people. So if I mess up, someone's going to call me on it. If I get the forecast wrong, someone's going to tell me. And sometimes it's just someone that's upset they didn't get the rain at their house, or maybe they canceled an event for the rain and it didn't come and they shouldn't have canceled the event, so maybe they're just a little disgruntled. But then there's other things like the farmers and ranchers. I mentioned I grew up on a farm here in East Texas and we baled hay every year, and you have to have dry days to bale that hay. And so if I tell someone a forecast is going to be dry for the next 3 or 4 days and they start getting that hay ready and then it rains, it can completely ruin it and it can cause them lots of money. So my job is one that a lot of people depend on more than you realize, and it can cause them financial hardships, not just inconveniences if I get the weather wrong. So it's a lot of pressure to make sure that the forecast is right. The other thing that is a lot of pressure, mainly for the women in this business, is how they look. I get emails probably on a daily basis of people who either really like what I'm wearing or don't like what I'm wearing. And a lot of them can be very cruel at times. And so I try to warn people that going into the television business, whether you're going to do weather or whether you're reading the news, you have to have a very thick skin, because there is always going to be somebody that tells you they don't like you. And it may just be a personal preference, or they may have a good reason, whatever it is, but they're going to tell you. It's not something of, you know, you visit the bank and maybe the lady that gives you your cash has a funny haircut and you walk out and you kind of laugh with your friends about, did you see her hair? But you wouldn't have said it to her face. When it comes to television, we're invited into people's homes every single day, multiple times a day. They feel like they know us. And so if my hair's sticking up, someone's going to email me, probably multiple people emailing me to tell me about that. So it can be really draining on your self-esteem to know that people are nitpicking you all the time. And so it's something in this business, that's probably the biggest negative, is the fact that people, and sometimes they don't mean it to be rude, sometimes they do, but nitpicking every single thing we do and say is something you're going to have to deal with the entire time you're in the business. Most of us, when you think a meteorologist, you immediately think of your television meteorologist, but that's actually just a small number of the meteorologists out there. The majority of meteorologists actually work for the government. The National Weather Service has offices all across the country. The closest ones to us would be Shreveport and Fort Worth, and there are meteorologists there that do forecasts every day for the entire area. There are also research meteorologists. A lot of them work for universities. They're sometimes professors, along with doing their research about certain weather types and things that they're looking at. There are meteorologists that work for NASA, because you have to be able to forecast for shuttle launches and things like that. And you have to have that real-time forecast to make sure it's okay to launch the shuttle, or should we wait until another day. So the government employs most meteorologists in the country. There are also meteorologists that are employed by energy companies. When the temperatures soar in the middle of summer, they need to know how much energy they're going to be needing to use, especially here in Texas. And in the winter, when we get those really big ice storms, they don't come very often, but when they do, the energy companies need to know in advance so that they have the energy to provide. So a lot of the energy companies here in Texas employ their own meteorologists. It's a lot of math and science. Basically, the degree of meteorology is completely math and science. And so anything you can do in high school to take more math and science courses, physics, calculus, linear algebra, any of those, take as much as you can. Because when you get to college, basically the entire meteorology program is nothing but physics and math. And I tell people a lot that one of the subjects that I hated the most in high school was math. I hated math. but I was able to do it. So I tell people a lot, and I like to tell kids that you don't have to like math, you just have to be able to do it, because now I'm thankful that my computers do all the math for me, so I don't have to remember all of that stuff anymore. A meteorology degree plan is usually 4 years to get a Bachelor of Science in Meteorology, and that's what I have from the University of Oklahoma. It really depends on where you want to go with your career. I chose TV, and when I first went into meteorology, I didn't think TV is what I wanted to do. One of the ways that I got into it is because I got an internship right here at Channel 7 with Mark Skirdo when I was in college at Tyler Junior College, and I watched what he did and I thought, well, now that looks like something I might want to do. So then when I transferred to the University of Oklahoma, I got another internship with a television station up there. And so most of my degree is just learning meteorology, learning the weather, learning forecasting. But through my internships, I really learned about TV and what went into being a television meteorologist. And that's kind of how I took that path. So if you want to go into the TV world, a 4-year degree is probably all you need. However, if you want to be one of those research scientists that is cutting edge research, learning more about tornadoes, hurricanes, something like that, you're probably going to want to increase your education, get a master's and even a PhD in meteorology so that you can start your research while you're in school. So for me, we do all of our own graphics and we do all of our own forecasts. So when I come to work, whether it's 2 a.m. in the morning or 2 p.m. in the evening, I get there early enough that I can do a complete forecast for the next 7 days. We talk about temperature, we talk about cloud cover, we talk about rain chances, and we try to do that entire 7-day forecast. So I sit down, I do my forecast for the next 7 days, and then I start working on my graphics. All of the graphics that you see behind us at the weather wall, we do all of those every day. I have such a love of weather that one of my favorite things to do is talk about the weather, and that's basically my entire job is I get to talk about the weather. So I get to do something I love every day. Also, my job changes every day. Sometimes I'm sitting in interviews like this one. Sometimes I'm talking to school groups at their school. Other times I'm making appearances at the Discovery Science Place or somewhere else around East Texas. So it gives me a little bit more way of seeing just not the same thing every day. My job changes a little bit every day. Plus, we all know that Mother Nature can be trying sometimes. She keeps me on my toes. So sometimes when I'm wrong with the forecast, I spend the next several days trying to figure out how I was wrong and trying to get better. So I feel like one of my favorite things about my job is I'm constantly learning how to be better at it and how to better forecast the next storm system that might be on the way. I would say to anyone interested in the career of meteorology, know as much math and science as you can. Start thinking about what parts of meteorology you like best. Severe thunderstorms, lightning, tornadoes, that's always been my favorite. So I gravitated toward the University of Oklahoma. But if you're more into hurricanes, tropical storms, you might gravitate more toward North Carolina State or Florida State, somewhere closer to the coast that has a lot more influence in hurricane meteorology. If you like snowstorms, you probably want to head up north or go to Colorado. Snow is something that I absolutely hate, so I try to stay down to the south. But if you like snow, you probably want to venture to one of those colleges that gets more snow than either the University of Oklahoma or our closest one, Texas A&M. One of the biggest aspects of our job is education to the public, because a lot of the public, we don't think about the weather on a daily basis except for what to wear. Do I need my umbrella? Do I wear long sleeves? Do I wear short sleeves? But when the weather turns angry, that's when we need to know things. And as meteorologists, we're not just trying to educate you as to where the storm is going, but also what county do you live in? Watch for the watches and warnings for that county specifically and things like that. So we find ourselves kind of in that educational teacher role when those severe thunderstorms start rolling in. And a severe thunderstorm can begin to rotate very, very quickly. So if you know severe thunderstorms are in the forecast for the day, you always want to pay attention, which is easier than ever now. We've got our app on your phone, we've got our website, you can tune in, and anytime there's severe weather, a watch or a warning, we've got the bug in the corner of your screen. And so getting weather information is easier than ever now, but making sure that you're paying attention to where that weather is moving and whether or not it should affect you is a big deal. And so we don't want anyone to be caught unaware And I see our most important role is educating the community and making sure that they're aware of when the weather could affect them personally. East Texas is a very unique place geographically. We see pretty much all kinds of weather. We're close enough to the coast that we can get hurricanes in our area. We can see tropical storms. Of course, we see severe thunderstorms and tornadoes every year. And I think when you ask someone, what do you think the most dangerous weather is, they immediately think tornadoes. And that's probably because when a tornado hits, the devastation, I mean, it's like, it can be like a train wreck. It's amazing the devastation that a small tornado can cause. However, I think when it comes to weather situations, the one type of weather that we a lot of times don't think about being dangerous is the heat. When you're outside, heat stroke, heat exhaustion can happen so quickly, especially with the humidity as high as what we see in East Texas. So when tornadoes are in the forecast, most people, they at least get a little nervous, they start paying attention. But when heat is in the forecast during the summertime, it's just one of those things that we kind of think, well, it's summer in East Texas, it's gonna be this way. But when we start seeing heat index values of 110, 112, staying outside for any length of time can very quickly lead to heat exhaustion, and that can cause problems for your health for years to come. The American Meteorological Society has a certification called Certified Broadcast Meteorologist. I have that certification, and it's something where you have to go in and take a test to prove your knowledge in meteorology, and you also do have to keep up with it. Every 5 years they ask me to provide proof that I've kept up with my education. There's a lot of websites where they provide modules that you can go in and almost do a little bit of a lesson to kind of refresh yourselves on different kinds of weather. One of the things that I like to do every year is refresh myself on winter weather because we don't see a lot of it in East Texas. So if we start seeing the potential of snow in the forecast, that's not something I deal with all the time like I do with severe weather and heat and things like that. So I like to go in and kind of refresh my memory of what makes a snow forecast and what means we're going to get heavy snow and what means we're just going to get a dusting. So we have to kind of keep up with that, and with the advances in technology that they have every year, we have to keep up with that as well. Radars have changed so much in the 20 years since I've been in the business, and now we're learning more and more about dual pole radar, which can show us so much more than the old WSR 88Ds could show us. And I'm still learning that, and so I personally love it when we get a younger guy or girl into our weather center that has been learning this recently, and they can help teach me. And as I mentioned before, that's one of the things I love most about my job is I am constantly learning how to be better at it.
Thank you for attending today's event. I hope that as you watched the videos, you heard and saw the passion of all the businesses that were represented. I wish you that same success and that same passion as you move into high school and you start contemplating your future career. Always remember that Workforce Solutions East Texas and Texas Workforce Commission is here to partner with you on many programs that can help you achieve your goals. Thank you.